Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe. Dave over there wearing his little dead head shirt, or dead end shirt, I'm sorry. Sir Rick and the producer back there manning the mics. Drive safe, Dave. Welcome back from vacation. You got a little color on you.
I did.
You're looking sharp.
I got a little sun. I tried to use as much SPF 5000 as I could use, and it didn't help because I didn't put any on the lips. So now my lips are burned, and it's a bummer.
I'm surprised you didn't call in sick today, with chaff.
Thought about it.
It's a sign of COVID. I can't come in,
Thought about it. I definitely thought about it.
So talk to us. How was Mexico?
Mexico was nice. We were on the West Coast, so the weather was beautiful every day. In the 70s. I think it got as hot as 77. But other than that, very nice, very cool, very beautiful, very beautiful.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit. Did you drank a lot?
I did.
Check. Check. Did you go golfing?
I did go golfing. I went at Kia Verde. That was absolutely amazing. I don't think I've ever been on any course quite as beautiful as that, as scenic, as picturesque, and as unbelievable on the cliffs. What they do there and how they do it.
Did you lose any balls?
Yes, I did. I did lose a few balls. Had a great time. And you know what? They take care of you there. I mean, they feed you. They make sure you.
Did you gain any weight? Yes or no?
Yes.
More than 5 pounds?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good vacation there. That's what you do when you go to an all-inclusive resort. You should gain 5 pounds, or you didn't get your money's worth.
Wait a minute. So let me ask you a quick question. The food was amazing. I mean, the food was good every day. Every day, got up, ate. It didn't matter. It was really good food. I mean, I don't know if it's just me that I like to eat.
You know what? So when we went to close to where you stayed at, we stayed at the other resort that we had like what y'all didn't eat. So what you had yesterday, we would have today. So no, Dave, you're in a different category than Sir Rick, and you've just got to realize that. I bet that food was better when it was cooked the first time, but it wasn't bad microwave either where I was staying at.
It was really good. I'll tell you what. Even if it's not on the menu, they're probably going to make it for you. Have you figured that? I figured that out about day 2. I was like, could you do that? And they're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. I was like, but could you? Oh, yeah, we can do that, too. I was like, well, why do we even have menus? I'll just order what
I tell you, man, they're good. They're great workers. They take care of you. They believe in that. I was like, you know what? You get on March North. Come on, we need some workers up here. You know what? Get to that border.
Service. They don't have a service issue.
Here.
They don't have a service issue. It's not like there's.
Oh, I'm telling you, the work ethic's amazing. They really do care for what they do, and they're very appreciative, of the money. They appreciate all of that right there. Dave, talk to me about that airport drive. Any safety concerns you saw when you're in the cab, or however you got from the airport to the resort?
Well, we've talked about it a lot lately, and we discussed it here. I truly believe that Alto is a suggestion. It's not actually.
It's the same in no matter what. It's a universal. Did they not stop?
No, they don't stop.
Let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that up.
They don't stop at all. I'm surprised they even slowed down. He kind of just did quick like that and shot through the intersection.
So I'm like getting bullied in my house for stopping at stop signs. Like bullied, made fun of. And even yesterday, I get mocked. Kendra's driving back home. We went to go get something to eat, and she stops at a stop sign that she normally would run. But she stops for like a second and a half, thinking I would notice. And I said, you guys are really giving me a hard time for obeying the law? Is that where we've come to today? That in your own family, if you obey the law, you get made fun of, ridiculed? Yeah. I felt like I was going to walk out and I was going to start getting stoned by the neighbors, rocks thrown at me.
For doing the right.
He's the one.
Oh, my
All
goodness.
they missing was somebody coming and kissing me on my cheek. That was it.
The traffic, they do it a little bit different there, and there's no lines on the how you would think there were like 2 people running, like you'd run 2 at a time. No. They'll try to squeeze 3 or 4 into that same space. And I did see one accident. A guy bumped another guy, broke a headlight. They get out, they both look at each other, they pick up the pieces and they drive off. There's no calling the cops. There's no insurance. I think I saw a few pesos exchange hands, and they were on their way.
Gotcha. Hey, so I always grab. I grab the Wall Street Journal. I just try to grab as I don't know. Is there such thing as a neutral newspaper? Is Wall Street fairly neutral?
It's okay. Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, it kind of goes both.
They all have agendas.
So I try. You know what? I'm agenda free. But here we go. Plan for EV chargers meets skepticism in the West. Dave, what this is about is, there's money to be given from the government to those states like Colorado, Montana, California, Oregon and Utah to get, they want these charging stations up because Ford and some of these places, Volkswagen, have made commitments to get these cars out. And so now they're saying, you know what? If you guys want some of this funding, you're going to have charging units every 50 miles. And they're saying it's just not possible. Some of these places, they're kind of off the grid. They're not within 50 miles. And
have you been out? Have you driven out? Have you hit I-10 West?
I agree 100% on that. But understand, these cars, their range maximum is like 300 miles. And so I'm saying you're probably going 200, 225 without, without starting to get panic mode right there. It takes 30 minutes to charge it back up, so I can see that too. I mean, there are going to be a lot of them. I mean, Dave, I don't like waiting 15 minutes to get my gas, let alone you're going to be there for 30 minutes.
Or waiting in line.
Think about that, and then think about the infrastructure for the big trucks. I mean, if we're struggling right now for the cars, it's going to take 30 minutes. Dave, I mean, it's not a 30-minute charge on a big truck.
No, it's not, and The infrastructure is going to have to change. Right now I don't think over the road. I don't think over the road's even a question for a big truck.
I mean, it's a question for the EVs for the cars right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying all these states say we can't do this thing to get this money. And again, I'm trying to say this, Dave. You missed it yesterday. Is you know what? We still have gas. And you know what, Dave? And right now, the fact that we're not,
investing,
the fact that we're paying $5.80 a gallon right now, a record high after you've gone, record high again, Dave. Let me tell you something. We've got to take care of this problem right now. Yep. We've got to get this cost down. We went into yesterday just the amount of money being spent on diesel alone, not just fuel. You're paying at the pump, and then you're paying the diesel price as well because, we're charging the customers 80, 85, 90 cents a mile for fuel surcharge today.
Yeah.
So all the savings that you made on that spot market freight, so you're still spending the money, and we're still spending the money as consumers.
So, and I get it's going to be expensive changeover. I've always understood it was going to be an expensive changeover when we moved over, but we still have to figure out an easier way to do this. So do we re-put money back in the pipelines? Do we go back? Do we reinvest in it?
You know what? At the end of the day, we're not going to be here anyway. But we will be back.
What? Wow. Okay, grandchildren, forget it. You're on your own.
Hey, listen, we have an interview today. We have Chris with Cargo Chief. We're going to talk a little bit of technology, what's going on in this industry. Again, I just continue to be fascinated at the level of technology that's in this industry. This isn't just a trucking industry. Dadgummit, it's a technology industry, Dave.
Yeah, if you're not up on it, if you're not in your game, if you're not doing it and understanding more and more each day, you're going to be left behind. I mean,
I'm not going to go. I'm going to give him a second here, Dave. We're going to talk this just for a second. I just want you to see this. So when you left out of here, freight went up to 13,600 loads. It jumped way well above the average like it normally does after a holiday. Here's some things that I don't understand yet, Dave. So here's my new chart that I'm going to start looking at. It's the inbound ocean container index, and we hear it and we get that news that the bookings are way down, and I'm not doubting any of that, Dave. So I'm going to start trying to track some of these things. This isn't the booking one here, but it kind of shows you that other than last year, again, we're still hanging out better than we have before.
Yep.
And Dave, listen to this, and I didn't find the answer out yesterday. Bookings. Okay, bookings are down, and when I say bookings, reservations for that ship are down for 3 months from now. Tells you there's probably not going to be as much freight if they're down, right? Just kind of
absolutely.
I get what they're trying to say on that part, but here's my question, and I don't know this. Well, how much of that freight has already been transferred over to Mexico? How much of that same freight from China has been transferred somewhere else? that we're measuring these TEUs and all this that's coming out, the freight's down. I'm not saying that it's a significant amount, but it's a number that we're going to have to start looking at because freight has moved. We have seen a bigger shift to Mexico. How much of that freight that's not being shipped on these containers has moved over? I'm just kind of curious on that before we start talking, about any kind of freight recession or anything like that. But Dave, we're going to look at some of my favorite areas that we look at to kind of gauge on what's going on in the market. Here we go. The diesel today, again at 5.80, stayed consistent. We didn't go up at least, but 5.80 a gallon is what we're messing with. 3 months right here. Look at this jump. That's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. It's just unbelievable. So not a good thing for the independent contractors, for the company drivers, for America. Let's just be honest. That's not a number we want to see because when it's $5.80 a gallon on the diesel, you're paying it not only at the pump.
You're paying it at the price.
You're paying at the price. Yeah, at the store. That's not even the cost of goods. That's right. That's not everything in it. Dave, we look at the reporting. This is the contracted rates, and this isn't going to change much from day to day, but it is kind of saying, hey, it's still hanging in there in that 280, 285 range, which I expect it not to jump under 275. That's the contracted rate. So understand that contracted rates are the rates that the customer is giving the carrier.
That's correct.
The only thing that can really change that, and I tell you, the shipper, be careful, don't do it, it's not time, is this right here, Dave. We look at the spot market freight. When the spot market begins to go under the contract rate,
it starts screaming.
Then now it starts creating, the shippers start getting a little braver. They start saying, well, you know what, I'm going to create a new bid. We're starting to see more bids again. Be careful. Okay, that's all I got to say. Because a lot of the brokers, logistics, other companies, they still don't have the equipment to take care of this freight. So you can give it to a broker all they want to, but if his service is important to you, and I think it's going to get important to you this year, again, like it used to be, you're going to have a carrier that has trucks and trailers. Dave, we look at the spot market pricing right now. We're down to $2.82 a mile right now, but understand there's about 85 cents of fuel baked into that. Yep. So really, that $2.82 is really like $1.90 something line haul. So rates have really gone down because of fuel. Fuel's eating into that spot market rate. We look at this right here. First thing we're going to look at the volume going on right now. Remember, when we talk volume, we were at about 13,000 before the holiday. Here we go, 13,000 for the holiday. The holiday happened. We shot up to 13.6, and now we're making our way back down. 12.5 is really where I think we're going to be, maybe even south of 12.5. I don't think we're going to keep it north of 13,000. I think the freight's going to continue to go down. Why? Because you don't feel good about buying things right now. Why? Because it costs so much money to fill your fuel tank up. Why? Well, because of what diesel's doing right now. When you go buy anything today, you're having to pay more money. Why? Well, because it's summertime. You're on vacation. You're going out spending money on goods and on services. And services does not create truckloads. You're not buying the washers and dryers. You're not doing any of that anymore. You've done that the last 2 years. You're finally spending money, and because of inflation, because of diesel, because of fuel, you're spending so much money that you don't have much money left to buy anything else.
Or you're not going to just do it. Your discretionary income has shrunk. And you're going to spend it on...
Shrunk significantly, yes. Or you're going to go further in debt, one of the two. Get another credit card, that's the answer. Here we go. The rejections, Dave, again, continue to shrink down. We're down to almost 8%.
Wow.
So that means that the carriers are taking everything. Those that have that contracted freight are taking everything. Why do they take everything? Because they can broker it out and make money. Simple, it's real simple, right? Supply and demand. There's still trucks out there, and the rates are significantly down on that supply and demand. They can sell that freight to you for $2.90 a mile and come out way ahead. $2.80 a mile and come out way ahead because they're going to charge fuel on top of everything else. We have Chris from Cargo Chief coming up next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station nation. Drive Safe Dave. And up on the screen is none other than the great Chris Arredondo with Cargo Chief. Hey, did I say the name right?
Hey, close enough. So.
Hey, I saw the R's. I figured as long as I rolled them, I could get through the rest of it.
Yeah, I like to say it's like a pirate, Arredondo. Makes it easy. Yeah,
I got that accent.
I heard it. I heard it. You snuck it in. You snuck it in on us.
Hey, matey, I got Chris Arredondo on the
He's
show.
always a pirate. Every time he does an accent, he comes out as some like pirate.
Hey, Chris, what's going on right now with you? You doing okay?
Yeah. No, I'm good, man. I don't wake up this early for no one else except for you, Rick.
You know what? I appreciate that. And you know what? That's the beauty of that IT. You know, they're all in their mind. They're all out in California, right out there in San Francisco, sitting next to Google, sitting out there in Silicon Valley. They're on their own schedule.
Shorts in their Starbucks. You got your
Starbucks. He has his
Starbucks
shirt on. You know.
That's right.
He got his
avocado.
necklace. Yeah. Hey, talk to us a little bit. Introduce Cargo Chief to all of us.
Yeah, no. So, I'm Chris Arredondo, co-founder and VP of pretty much everything customer related here at Cargo Chief. We're a freight tech company. We solve some of the industry's biggest issues. I think kind of what you guys are talking about, not just rating and not just capacity, but the sporadic capacity and the inaccuracies and volatility of the market. And how we do that is through our platform project and procurement software called C4. Where we kind of take everything from capacity, pricing, procurement, and tie everything together with automation and digital freight matching and things to kind of deliver a different experience, a different way of booking freight, if you will. So,
yeah, you know what? When I remember when I first time I met you, I was at a McLeod conference. It was the very first. It was like the first conference I think y'all had been to. We'd been to in years, right?
I remember that was in Texas.
And here it is, you guys. You're going over what it is. The fundamental of what you do to a trucking company. One thing that we're looking for on the trucking side and the brokerage side is ways to rate freight quicker to our customer. We get these rate requests in. And there's nothing more scarier in the freight industry than being the one that rates something because your name is always on that load. What are you doing to kind of take some of that pressure off the person that has to put the rate on the load?
Yeah, no. So I was actually talking to somebody yesterday, literally about the same thing. Like, how do we get a competitive edge, and how do we price differently? And it's like, as you guys are saying too, with the fuel, everything has just changed. Like, I drive an F-150 down here in Texas, and fuel literally doubled every week. We were paying like $70. Now we're paying $150 just to fill up every week. And it's like, when you start to put that into a month, and then a year, that starts to add up. And then it does make me a little hesitant. I felt a little like, man, Rick's reaching in my wallet right now, telling me I'm spending too much. Yeah, I am. But no, so some of the things that we do is, I think from a brokerage standpoint or just any rating solution, a lot of companies are losing bids by $25 increments because the rates have just dropped, right? And it's a different normal. It's a new normal. And I think the difference when it comes to the buy side, when you're trying to procure for carriers, I don't think some people have shifted with as the market changed. So they're not buying, they're buying in the same manner that they were in the past. And that's, when things shift, you got to adopt, right? You got to move, you got to change. So some of the things that we do with our rating engine is really, I mean, kind of serve up something real time and accurate. At the end of the day, if the rate that you're looking at isn't accurate, you're going to make bad decisions, or maybe not as well informed decisions, if you will. So we kind of process transactions as they're booked in our C4 network across hundreds of brokerages and carriers and things like that. So you're actually able to kind of get a snapshot of what other people are paying to help give you that more insight, I guess, in data, and pairing it with lane density and just different things to make a better decision at the end of the day, and make sure you're not ending upside down on a load, and make sure you can cover that freight and live up to your word and promise. So
Chris, and a real quick question, and as you talk about it, how do you acquire that data? I mean, where do you go out and get that data, and how does it come to you so that you can process it and then turn around and feed it out correctly to those that are looking for it?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting question. At C4, our platform, it really kind of, the moat there is capacity, and everyone needs capacity. Capacity is cyclical. It's, sometimes you need it urgently. Today, every load's got to go. Sometimes you have time for procuring. So it's really about all the solutions that we provide a customer, and it's not just about ratings. So with that, it allows kind of a little bit more trust into the network, if you will, where a brokerage can, if all their data is talking from their TMS to a platform that they can build on top of and scale their business with, then it's a no-brainer to kind of like, hey, I need the CRM, this platform to have my data so I can work with it and also get the benefit from the entire network. So it's kind of a, like a shared community, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's about everything together. And that's really C4, a product. We kind of position things through the lens of procurement rather than just one piece: pricing, capacity, workflow, automation. We put everything together as procurement, so it allows for a better decision, I would say.
Sounds like as well, when you do all of that, and I think it's important for our listeners to hear this, is that the integration's there as well, right? I mean, what you're after is not the phone calls, but is to have the two systems working together to give those answers away a little quicker than a phone call or Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's I was telling you earlier, kind of, we just finished up our I guess Jacksonville, Florida tour, if you want to call it that. We saw a couple customers out there and how they're working, and it's like a lot of companies have this screen, and then they ran out of space on their desk, so they have a little laptop to have that fourth monitor, and everywhere they're kind of using this system to satisfy this tool to satisfy this system to get this answer. And at the end of the day, whenever they're making their decision, whether it's calling a carrier, emailing somebody, it's like that workload was about 3 to 5 minutes every load. So it doesn't really matter, like, the digitization and forcing emails and options to users and coverage reps. It's like, we got to figure out a way to integrate everything together and reduce the clicks, because that's really where the inefficiencies come. By the time I get to the third click, I've probably spent too much time on a do not use carrier, and now why did I even spend time on this third click at the end of the day, right? So it's like, got to figure out a way to integrate all these systems to talk and produce and execute.
Man, an obvious fear from a broker, and I can hear it right now, was like, man, how do I know to trust that rate? And what's your advice to that company, that, because we're humans, right? And only us, because we've
I've been
gone
doing
to
this for 25 years. I know
I got
that
5
market.
screens up, and I can look at all this, and somehow I can make that decision right here. How can I trust you, the technology, to do the same thing the right way?
I'd say I've had my fair share of slinging freight, 60 calls a load, and I get it. Like, I've been there. I've from the floor, from coverage to sales to helping run brokerages. So it's like, I get it. I've been there, and I think, like, the advice we try to give is we get, like, load boards and transactional ways. Like, that stuff has to be here. Spreadsheets have to be here. It's like, that's just how people do business. And in this industry, it favors a phone call and conversation over any sort of technology, clicks or buttons. It took a pandemic and 10 years for carriers to, like, actually start to being tracked, by automation. Like, I started my career at CH, and when we first started trying to, like, get carriers to track and trace, like, it was like, dude, lose my number, like don't call me back. So it's like, now that thing's like,
I'm not
it's
required.
required.
Quit calling sleeping.
Yeah, call me after COVID. Like, it's so it's crazy to see that change. And I think like where we are right now in this click book now stuff, it's like it's still 1, 2, 3 more clicks than a carrier wants to do. And we try to give the advice of like improving your process. Like procurement is still there. That's still the same. That's the way people have been booking freight for 25 years or whatever it is. And it's that relationship. And it's really just giving them actionable information. Like TMSs do a great job at housing data. But everyone has this data. It doesn't matter unless you can interpret it. So that's where then you find the talent and the skill gap that requires somebody with experience that has done it 25 years or whatnot to like translate that into technology. It's very time consuming, and a lot of times brokerages don't have that sort of money either, right? So that's kind of where we step in and try to help them kind of interpret that information better.
Chris, and as we've gone to some of the conferences and as we look around and we go to these different things, you see technology taking the lead more than it ever has before in different companies, much like yours, but they're making a real change in this industry for the better, obviously. But if you don't jump in, you're going to be left way behind. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's at the turn of COVID, we started hearing a lot of customers changing their like mission, I would say, but more so focusing on like that procurement aspect. And when the supply chain realigned, like people they needed a way to replace the revenue loss. So it's like some companies try to build that tech in-house. It's very, very risky. It's like you're the only brain behind it, where if you go with a third party company or a tech company, we've shouldered the risk. We've deployed features that fell on their face, and we have the ability to kind of turn and change. The one thing you can depend on in this industry and anywhere today is change. So it's like we were able to do that so quickly and help them. And yeah, I mean it's like these things that I think are so antiquated that a lot of people don't think about. Like, can I put this into technology? Like, is it what I'm doing today? Is there a company that can reduce that time by 5 minutes? If you do it by 5 minutes, every load, multiply that by your monthly load count, your annual load count, and that time starts to stack up really quickly. And so you can do a lot with time. Time is just kind of a reservation for money. And so we try to create time. We're magicians here in the freight tech side of things. So.
Yeah, and you know what, I believe that. And to the broker out there, I'm going to talk to you for a second. Is that you're gauged on what you sell so many times. In how we do it today, we've got to make 20% gross margin and blah 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 blah. Well, think about this: that some technology is out there, Cargo Chief, that can sell that load drive safe, Dave, without you ever touching it too. And all of a sudden 10% becomes as valuable as 20%. And you know what? Those 100 extra loads that you didn't want to quote on because a $100 margin was a little too thin, well, all of a sudden that freight got sold, 100 loads times $100 a load drive safety. All of a sudden you're up to $10,000 more dollars a week of margin, 52 or weeks a year. That's $500,000 without doing a thing except paying Cargo Chief to move that. Hey, but Chris, what are you doing to help me? I'm a broker and I have this one-off carrier that I've used today, and guess what? I'm going to use 10 more carriers today, one and done's. I'm going to throw them to the side when I'm done. Are you helping me develop a relationship with those folks at all about my freight?
Yeah, I'd say we kind of look at things from more of a marketing perspective and try to use terms that are really common in marketing, like carrier retention. It's one of the big things, like why people lean into Cargo Chief and buy into our platform and our solutions is one, to expand their carrier base, carrier retention, and then to book more freight. And all that does kind of, come down to your time. Like it took a long time to comply that first carrier, right? Like why spend so much time on that guy and never use them again? So like some of the things we do instantly, like we'll map kind of your carriers to our database. We've got, north of 600,000 carriers or whatnot, but it's really the value is the data and the interpretation and how we make it useful for you. So it's like day one, we just put a case study out with one of our customers down here in Texas, and we expanded their carrier base by, I don't know, it was like 400% or something, just instantly. And also giving them options from like, they went from maybe like 3 to 5 options a load to like north of 20 options a load on day one. So it's like they had the options sitting there in their TMS, just never knew like, wow, I didn't know this guy could run this lane ever, because nobody did the work, did the procurement side of it, right? And that takes a lot of time. Pre-booking is one of the hardest things to do. So with that, it's the carrier relationships. You got to keep moving. So
yeah, and that's again, a lot of the beauty that you're going to bring, because again, we're not saying to the dispatcher today that any company's going to look to get rid of you. Hey, what you do is very needed, right? But there's so much other freight that can make that company successful by selling freight out in advance. And there's always those loads that, hey, guess what? You sold it out 5 days ago, the carrier's going to fall off. It's going to happen, and it's going to fall on your plate, and you're going to be up there scrambling, making a million phone calls. Maybe cargo's going to help you on that as well, but that's your part, right? That's going to be the skilled part. Why not sell more freight without even having to touch it? Reduce your touches. Very, very, very important. And one of my favorite things is that you can tie into that CRM or to that platform that carrier is using as well.
Yeah, no, it's you were talking about like selling more freight, like in the rating side of things, like there's automation at all sorts of levels these days, and I think some brokers are a little, I don't know if it's hesitant or maybe skeptical. Maybe they got burned by somebody, an early entrant or something, and like I get it, like you don't want to spend all that time again, but it's like there's automation at every step. Whether automation is just like queuing up a list of carriers like rapidly, like that's automation at its basic form, and like just getting away from a spreadsheet can help move the needle. I mean, even rating too, like I saw you guys had your charts up there, like looking at volatility in markets, like that's kind of automation too. Like it's aggregating all this information and putting it into a picture, a snapshot of like, wow, that's crazy, or like giving you the impression and the interpretation you're looking for from data. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things out there. So I think brokers should, me from the freight tech side, but slinging freight, knowing how my team was like, so dealing with this chaotic day. I mean, even just seeing our customers last week, there's still a lot of chaos going on in freight brokerages. And I really think, really should start to adapt technology at some point.
Hey, Chris, I have one more question for you, and this will probably be it. We'll have to cut it loose, but I want to bring this up in here because, so much in what we have in our system today, it's data, and it's data, data, data. However, what so many brokers, what so many logistics companies, what they don't have is the load that's not in the system. It's that quote that came in via email, via phone call, and it never makes it in here. A couple of things is, what can you do, or can you do anything to take some of that email traffic that comes in and perhaps just build a load in the system that goes in there and as a quote or something like that, so we have the data to understand what other freight is in our system, how many loads are being offered to us. Is there any help with that, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
No, this is the right tree, the pine tree, I guess, in Texas. But so kind of multi-answer here. One of our customers, they're probably, we work with them, they work with us, and they kind of our beta along the way as we were deploying some of these things out. And they really use our full suite of products. Like think of it like Adobe, and you've got Photoshop, Premiere, whatever else it is. They've kind of got the full suite. Like when the shipper comes to them, doing this all day, hey, can you quote this? Hey, can you quote this? I think a user on the other end, like sitting in the chair, like they kind of have that either frustration, this other pipe load again, I don't want to quote this thing, or maybe it's just like, I just quoted them, I never win this. There's always that like arbitrary response that goes on in their mind, right? And there's limitations to that already. But on the other side, they're also building quotes all day, 50 quotes a day. Like just that's a job, right? And it's like it creates a little bit of chaos and a little bit of frustration. The same thing, like Groundhog Day coming in over and over and over again, same thing. So it's like, yeah, we have technology that can kind of, auto quote using our rating engine that gives you a pulse on the real market and what it's doing based on a pickup day. Quote that out to your shipper. Your shipper will say, yeah, let's do it. Then there's a couple partners we work with to auto build that load. That load will be put in the system, whether as a quote first and then transferred to a load or converted to a load. Then at that point, using our carrier database to kind of field your options with our offer as well. So using our rating engine again to apply like what's a fair rate today. We don't want to tell a carrier like, hey, can you take it for $600? If the lane's 1500, they're not going to take it out. They're not even going to reply. So it's like, don't even call me, like, right? So it's like, using our market rate to push those options out and bring them back to the customer is, yeah, there's certainly, again, one of our customers uses that full circle of automation where they're just kind of sitting back and booking freight as it comes. So there's a lot of things there. And I think even on the capacity side, like there's a lot you can do with a load. There's also a lot you can do with conversations. And when that conversation's missed, a lot of times you miss out on that load data, or that could have happened or that could have occurred. So it's a lot of things there. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, we want that data in the system. Chris, what you guys are doing at Cargo Chief, let me tell you, it's a beneficial to get that load in the system first and foremost, then to have all of those tools available to help you sell that load, to help you price it, and get that rate back to that customer. I'm going to tell you that the quicker you get it back, the odds are, it's the quicker you're going to get the load.
Absolutely.
Customers don't want to sit there and leave it on that bid for an hour. They've got other things to do as well. Take advantage of the technology. We talk digital brokerage, we talk technology, we talk all this. It's real, folks. Let me tell you something. If you've been locked down in COVID, get out. Go see some of these trade shows that are going on right now. Technology's real. What folks like Chris and what Cargo Chief have done, it's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. And Chris, if we need to, if everybody that's listening, how do they reach out to you, or how do they get a hold of Cargo Chief to find the answers they need?
I don't think I have a MySpace anymore. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you're using MySpace, you're not my tech guy.
Yeah. No, you can catch us on LinkedIn, Cargo Chief, or myself, Chris Arredondo again. And, LinkedIn's the best way, but if you're ready for kind of a demo or you want to hear more, you can go to our website, cargochief.com. Pretty simple. Look at a couple customer stories before you decide to do that demo. Maybe see kind of like, is this the right tool for me? Like automation can be scary, but not really. It's there. It's real. I like the way you said that, Rick, and it happens. It takes a little bit of trust, but I think the proof is in the numbers and the brokers that are having success already. So,
all right.
I'll tell you what, Chris, before you get out of here, we always ask our guests to do one thing. We ask that you state your name, who you're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that?
I'm going to try. Chris Arredondo, I'm with Cargo Chief, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Great job, man. Great interview. Great product. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
All right, buddy. Hey, you know what? Again, drive safe, Dave. I'm telling you, technology is crazy good right now. Don't be scared about it. You're going to have to dip your toe in a little at a time.
Even past the flip phone. Exactly. You're going to have to go just a little past the flip phone.
And it's real. So we'll be back. We have Double Check Dale coming up with a little bit of weather preview, and I'm going to go and just say it's probably hot. Maybe windy, hot for Dag, I'm sure. Coming up next, Double Check Dale.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected.
News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Hey, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Hey, you got Double Check Dale here, going to do a little bit of weather with you. Although Sir Rick really nailed it, you know, hot and windy, that probably describes it. We are going to start with the winds right now, and we got some very strong winds coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico that take it all the way through central Texas and panhandles of Oklahoma, into Kansas, into Nebraska, parts of Iowa. You can see those colors already. You know, Nest City, some steady winds of 36 miles an hour. As we go into the afternoon, those winds do nothing but get stronger, and you can see the colors darkening. And so we got some very strong winds to be aware of through central United States today. Also, the winds in the higher elevation of Colorado and New Mexico are picking up. And for Drive Safe Dave, yeah, Wyoming's going to be windy this afternoon along that I-80 corridor, so be aware of that. I think currently right now there's some winds up in the Nebraska area that are approaching gusts of 40 miles an hour or better, 50 miles an hour or better. So make sure that if you're in that area, you slow it down a little bit, under 60 miles an hour if you're loaded light. By this evening, you can see the winds are still there. They really don't subside very much into the early evening hours, but you can see how windy Wyoming is, and especially western Nebraska. So be very, very aware of that. Tomorrow, let's jump ahead all the way to tomorrow midday. The winds aren't going to be as bad in the central United States, but some very strong winds coming in out of Canada, up Europe, Montana, and the Dakotas. So let's take a look at precipitation, see if we have anything going on there today. You know, currently some very strong storms going on out in Ohio and parts of Pennsylvania. So if you're out there in that western Pennsylvania area, eastern Ohio, a couple of very strong storms there, potential for some flash flooding, strong winds, maybe some tornadoes. Other areas, the Dakotas are still getting some rain up in that area. Snow in the higher elevations out in Wyoming and Montana and Idaho. By this afternoon, still a lot of storms out in the Atlantic coast or Gulf Coast area, Alabama, Georgia, parts of Florida, and very strong storms in West Virginia and Virginia this afternoon around 4 o'clock. A little bit of rain out in central Texas and some precipitation still happening up in Wyoming and Montana. As we go in the overnight hours, we have a pretty strong cell of storms developing along that Kansas-Nebraska border that stretches all the way up through the very tip of Missouri and into central Iowa. You know, that's at midnight. There's some very strong storms with that. Strong winds will be with that. Very heavy rains, potential for some tornadoes. But look at as we go into that was midnight. We kicked that all the way to 4 a.m. Those storms just really are sitting out there and lingering. They're moving a little bit north, a little bit to the east. But most of Nebraska at 4 a.m. is going to be seeing some eastern Nebraska is going to see some rain, as is northwest central Iowa up into Wisconsin. And then as we get to later in the morning, still some more rain up in through Nebraska and into Iowa. So very wet day for that, or wet 24 hours coming up for that part of it. And as Sir Rick said, temperatures, it is hot. And we see those the temperatures. I'm going to just kick it up to 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're seeing 90s and 100s all the way from the Gulf Coast, from Houston, all the way up to St. Paul, Minnesota, and a little bit north. St. Paul, 94 this afternoon, very hot up there. Chicago, 89. They have an extreme temperature warning up there because of the humidity along with the heat. Just look at all those dark reds. So, you know, sound like a broken record. Hydrate yourself, have that water, don't overexert yourself. Know the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke, because it is very real, and with these temperatures and the humidity in places, it does not take very long for that to set in. With that, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk safety.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high quality, ANSI certified high visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility Pro Wear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityprowear.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
You got it. You were still here. It's BCB Live, the safety crew right here. You know what? A lot of us really do care more about. 2 out of 3 of us will always care about safety at this place. And I didn't call names out. I didn't call out names.
But why would you say that?
I think 2 out of 3 of us take it a little bit more serious.
This is a safety show, sir. You've got to
jump on board. Then that's all I gotta say. Jump on board. Do you need a vest? What do you need?
No, dude. I've got traffic sign awareness every single day. I'm trying to bring the.
I can't even get to your sign there because that collar is just jacking me up again.
Why is the collar messing you up? I'm trying to figure his collar out.
Yeah, it's just.
Maybe it's the glasses hanging. I don't know. So what's
like bacon on that? It's like curled like a bacon is on that. But anyway, I digress.
You do.
Digress. Hey, Dale, listen, we're running short on time. We better hop right back into safety, situational awareness, and speed management.
Yeah, today we're going to talk a little bit about speed management. We talk about speed here an awful lot because speed is a factor in all accidents. It's the number 1 factor in fatal crashes. So just slow it down. You know, that old saying, speed kills. Never a truer statement.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree 100%. I've never actually seen 2 parked cars crash into one another.
There you go. I mean,
one of them actually has to be moving.
That's it.
However, you know what? What's a great thing about when you talk about speed management, and as we discuss it, there's, you know, when you get into a parking lot, slow down. You don't have to go fast. Or you're in a parking lot, slow down. We're in your, you know, really. The idea behind all of it when you talk speed management is slow down. That's because really what happens is in certain situations, in places, situations, your next step to being successful is slowing down. And I think that's where we're talking about. Man, rarely do we hear at BCB recommend speeding up in a lot of situations, you know, that are dangerous.
The only area I would say that, you know, where it's okay perhaps to go faster in a parking lot, like if they don't have speed bumps, because there's no problem, right?
No, do not take the recommendation from the Mr. Safety guy over there. Slow down. There are people walking around. There are people parking. There are situations in which you've got to be speed management, sir.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
You can speed up on an on-ramp of a freeway. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I digress. Videos.
First video we got is called Your Daily Close-Up.
Right. These close-up ones.
Yeah, I don't because it's just, you know, we've seen it, a lot of these videos are about following too close. And when we say your daily close-up or your close-up shot of the day, this is one where we're extremely close. This is about 0.8 of a second, 0.7 of a second, and we're actually gaining a little bit here. Guys, speed management is what we're talking about. Just slow down. You have no place to go right here. You're not getting there any faster. Back off, slow it down, increase that space.
Possibly as well, side note, the smallest box I've ever seen being towed behind something. I mean, what is that thing? Is it got like a poodle? They got a poodle in it? Is that a dog carrier? What is?
It's a U-Haul behind a car.
I don't know. That's not. It's not U-Haul.
Oh yeah.
The U-Hauls are colored and they say U-Haul.
Well,
but the point of this is you can't get this close. Listen, back off. You're too close. We show this and show this and show this, and eventually you're gonna have to react and pull back a little bit. Next one.
Next we got leaving yourself no outs.
You know, and when we tailgate and when we have lots of traffic and we have those road cables alongside you, those safety cables alongside you, and you get in this situation, where are you going to go, folks? You've got to own that space between you and the vehicle ahead of us, and we're not owning it right here because there's not near enough real estate between us and the truck ahead. And with that tanker alongside of us, we just have no place to go.
Yeah, situational awareness. So to your point, you have the cables to your left, you have a truck in that far right-hand lane, you have UPT. I'm going to assume somewhere that P probably stands for petroleum. Right?
Yeah,
Probably. Well,
probably.
that's your right side right there. and you're too close. You're a second behind the vehicle in front of you. It takes you a second to react. Then you have the air brakes. It takes a half a second for them to work, or a quarter. Just like that, you're in a bad situation. No reason to be this close. Back it up another 2 seconds. You're still going to pass them at the same time. You're not getting anything done right now, and you're in an unsafe situation.
Yep. Probably adding a little stress to yourself because you're so close, and you know you should be backing out of there, but you think I'm going to get out.
You're making the truck, the UPT truck, nervous. Yeah. I'd assume. I mean, just let it happen. Don't force it. Next video.
Next, we got another stupid stale green.
Yeah, we got a stale green light here, and we're approaching it, and didn't think we were going to make the stop. We do make the stop. And so you got to ask yourself, were we paying attention to it? Did we get distracted perhaps? I mean, the lights change quick. We know that. Been in situations before, so you got to be prepared for them. Got to be thinking ahead. Situational awareness says, hey, light ahead, it's going to change. How is my speed the right speed to get stopped in time when it does?
See, we see he's going 30, or the driver's going 30 to 32 miles an hour. Are they looking up ahead? They get in this position right now. Again, the brakes had to come on then. What I do like, if anything, though, is the fact that they didn't just keep going. They recognized it, and so many times that temptation is there still because you feel like you're in a bad situation that you just have to run it. This driver proved that you can still stop.
Yep.
You're on the other side of the line, but it's still, you didn't run through that intersection. A lot of bad things happen when you run through that intersection.
Next, we got speed stays the same with no increase in space.
As we're watching this, I mean, we're just not getting it. I mean, we know we're too close, and when we see we're too close, we have to take that corrective action, and the speed just stays constantly all the way here. All we got to do is back off a couple miles an hour in the space. That car's going to start pulling away from us, and the space starts increasing. I mean, 2 miles an hour is all it takes, and that vehicle ahead of us starts moving away. So just slow it down a little bit. Take your foot off the gas for that second or two, or off the pedal for a second or two, and the space starts to increase for you.
Next video we got is called Space Starts to Grow, then Driver Speeds Up.
Here's kind of the reverse. The space is growing. We'll see the space growing a little bit, and now all of a sudden we see that truck starting to creep right up there. Hey, let him get that comfortable distance, 4 seconds ahead, at least 2 seconds, and let it grow even further than that. Don't increase just because the space is increasing. Get to that safe following distance first, and then increase your speed.
Yeah, you see him going 63-ish, 64, as that vehicle goes. Now we're up to 65, 66, 67. Just, let them get a little bit further, and then you can take that speed up a little bit more. To Dale's point on that, let them increase a little bit more space because you're still in a congested area right now. There's a lot of action on this road.
The last video we got is called Can't Make Them Go Faster, Just Back Off.
We're in a situation that no matter how close you get behind them, that truck is not going any faster. You're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. We're down to that 1-lane road. Just back off. I mean, just back off, folks. We're not getting there any quicker. We're not saving any time by doing this. We're just putting ourselves in a dangerous situation. So just slow down, back it off, increase that space.
Yeah, recognize these situations. I mean, you're going to get caught up in these single lanes, these slowdowns, these moments and where they move them over, and they've got construction going on the other side of the freeway, and they've managed this situation for you. Just remember that you have all the time in the world. You're not going any faster than the vehicle in front of you, no matter what you do here. So just create that safe cushion in this construction zone.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like because we're driving under 60, we're at 55, 56, 57, that we just, we feel like we have it under control. You're still a little too close. You can still count.
Absolutely.
Make sure you count that. You're still at about 1,001 right now. And if you're going 70, you'd be at about 1,000, maybe, a half a second. So you are, you're getting a little closer, but you still need to back it off just a couple of seconds, maybe 2.5, 3 more seconds, and you'll be fine. So see the situation, know what it is, use your technology, and if your technology doesn't work or you don't believe it, then count. Find that spot and count. All right, good videos. Again, we continue to see videos that we can learn from and we can share to make us better. It's something we always have to do. We want to practice. We want to act on what we know. And Dale and Dave, it's just, I'm telling you that situational awareness means that every second, you have to reevaluate your area, and are you doing the safest things?
Yeah.
And odds are every second you're going to have to change one of your actions up, and then you just have to do it.
Just have to, like you said, just have to recognize what's going on all the way around you. Recognize when you're too close and say, hey, I'm going to be the better driver here. I want to back off a little bit, make it safer and better for everybody.
Drive safe. If you want to close out with a prayer?
Yeah, dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we ask that you help us with kindness and consideration today. We ask that you help us watch out for our fellow man and do what's best for not only ourselves but for them. And in some ways, help us be safe for ourselves and for those around us each and every moment. We ask all these things in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And you know what, good Lord, do it for the women too. I know he said just men, but we're asking you to look out for the women out there as well. It's important that they, and we're thankful they can vote in a lot of things, and we're still working on things with him right here.
Wow.
We will see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Drive safe, Dave. You be good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You know what? It's nice to have you back, Dale. Great job today. We'll see all of y'all, men and women, tomorrow on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.